There are 7 types of Malay weapons. The first is called Se Jenggam. The second is called Se Pegang. The third one is called Se Lengan. The fourth is called Se Tangan. The fifth is called Se Berdiri. The sixth is called Se Nafas. And the seventh is called Se Rasa. Let's discuss.
Okay, hi guys, and welcome to another video. It's been a while since I've recorded myself on camera, and honestly, I do miss being in front of it. It's been a busy couple of weeks, but thanks to my wonderful team who have taken a creative approach to have an AI stand in on my behalf, relaying information repurposed either from my old videos or from my old notes and archives. You see, the issue with niche channel topics like this one, if the knowledge and experience held is only limited to the host of the show, and the rest of the team are merely technical production professionals, then there is not much room for creative expansion. Hence, my approach has always been on welcoming collaborations with fellow experts in this niche. So, once again, I invite all of you who have the experience, knowledge and credibility to add value to the Keris collecting community. Please do not hesitate to reach out to my team with your interest to contribute and be credited as a team member. I am always open to discussions. So with that, today I will be doing something different. For the longest time since I started to actively produce content for this channel, I have received many requests asking me for my opinions and inputs in reference to videos published by other creators. Now, for too long, I have avoided heading towards that direction, as I wanted you, my audience who have been following me from the beginning, to gradually grow and develop from basic foundations. This is evident from the weekly videos that I present, where I take you on a journey from ignorance to awareness. Step by step, I offer you a basic foundation from where you grow. Now, it would be pointless for me to drive right into the advanced topics of this hobby at the start if you are still unable to grasp the basics. Now, another reason why I was hesitant to weigh in my opinions is I don't want these creators to be offended and be turned away from creating content. But this stance changed when I realized how dangerous inaccurate facts can be. Not only can it be damaging to the culture, but it presents an injustice to this heritage. Now, my concern is most videos touching on this subject are either advocated by those who are dealing with the sale of these items or promoting faith healing traditions. It would be irresponsible on my part to allow inaccuracies and misinformation unchecked and uncountered with the correct facts. So from now on, occasionally there will be such videos from me where I fact-checked the information presented by other creators for you and weigh in my thoughts from my experience and knowledge. Today, I kick off this series of fact-check session with one sent to me by a fellow audience member who requested to remain anonymous. Thank you very much. You know who you are. Now, after reviewing that video, I think this will be an interesting video to review. Now, here is where I will be doing it differently. For videos that are not natively in English, with the help of AI, my team will re-edit the video and redub it in English with subtitles as well for ease of the English-speaking community. However, to maintain fairness, I will also be including the original video after the translated one. So today we will review the facts presented by this creator by the name of Ustaz Amin. Personally, I do not know him. However, anyone who does, feel free to tag him in this video and I would love to hear his inputs. To be clear, this is not a session where I irresponsibly criticize with the intention of putting down others. Far from it. This is to serve as a constructive feedback and also to offer additional insights for viewers who may not be experienced enough to understand what is being presented. Next, of course, is on fair use. As long as it is out in the open, in public view, no copyright infringement is intended. I make no claims whatsoever that the videos shared are mine original creative rights still belong to the original creator. This is purely for educational purposes. So without further ado, let's watch this video.
There are 7 types of Malay weapons. The first is called Senjata. The second is called Pegang. The third one is called Lengan. The fourth is called Tangan. The fifth is called Berdiri. The sixth is called nafas. And the seventh is called rasa. Let's discuss. Welcome to the University of Life. According to the book, 20th Century Impressions of British Malaya, published in 1908. In the chapter on native arts and handicrafts, they discussed in detail of their records on Malay weapons. So we can see the Senjata type here. The Batik and the Lawiyayam are in the same category class of weapons. This includes the Beladao, the Lawiyadik and a few others. Next we have the Pegang weapon class types, the Keris, the Tekbis, and we can read here how it was recorded. The Keris Tajan type from Patani. A Keris Sepulchral Luris type. And there is one Keris recorded here with 47 lux. Here is that 47 luck Keris blade. It's truly artistic because this Malay Keris luck are not spaced far apart but rather kept close together. Furthermore, a 47 lux blade is rather unusual and rarely produced in large numbers. We call it native genius or native ingenuity in relation to the art of Malay weapons. Next we have the Lengan weapon class type. Here we have the Sundang. The Sundang is a sword that is synonymous with the Malay identity. We do have various other types of swords other than Sundangs. We have a shared knowledge of technology with other cultures. For example, we can observe the sword type we refer here as Buaya Baranang, near similar in shape and form to the swords from Arabia, but the Sundang is unique to the Malay identity. Other than this, another weapon type under the category of Lengan is the lading as recorded in this book. This includes the sickle and machete as well. Next is the Tangan class of weapon types. Here we can see sword types natively known as Chenangas and Janawi respectively. It means that it is within the same family. Next we look at the Berdiri weapon class types, which refers to the spears and lances. Next we have the nafas weapon class types. This includes the archery bow and arrows. The blowpipes and blow darts too are accepted as Malay. nafas weapon types, muskets, flintlocks and cannons to fall under this category of weapon class types. It was an accepted belief that one's breath is held before firing off such weapons, hence described as such. Finally, the 7th weapon class type rasa. Rasa relates to elements from mystical beliefs and practices that defies logic of a rational mind. For example, there were tales of flying machetes and such. And this belief is not too far-fetched from our recent history, the infamous tales of flying machetes and invulnerability feats during the racial riots of May 13, 1969. I am not discussing this from a religious viewpoint, but taking into account the mystery of such reported incidents. So here are the 7 classes of weapon types in the arsenal of Malay weapons and arms, which were greatly admired by the colonists at that time, which were formally recorded in their books and records in their time. Good luck getting to know the identity of our Malay race. The University of Life Longling.
Now that's the video translated by my team. Coming up next is the original video in Malay. If this is not the language you speak, you can skip ahead to the next chapter for my concluding summary.
Senjata orang Melayu ada 7 jenisnya. Yang pertama dipanggil segenggam, yang keduanya dipanggil sepegang, yang ketiganya dipanggil selengan, yang keempatnya dipanggil setangan, yang kelimanya dipanggil seberdiri, yang keenam dipanggil senafas, dan yang ketujuh dipanggil serasa. Mari kita bahaskan. Selamat datang ke Universiti Kehidupan. Menurut buku 20th Century Impression of British Malaya yang diterbitkan pada 1908, 8 Masihi. Dalam bab Malayan weapon sahaja, mereka bincangkan secara detail bagaimana catatan-catatan mereka mengenai senjata-senjata orang Melayu kita, iaitu yang jenis segenggam. Kita boleh tengok sini dia ada badik kan, dan keluarga-keluarga badik itu dia ada lawi ayam, dia ada baladau, dia ada lawi itik. Kemudian kita di sini ada sepegang. Sepegang ni iaitu kris. Kris, tekpi, itu senjata-senjata sepegang kita. Dan kalau lihat di sini macam mana mereka mencatatkan, maknanya ada kris tajung daripada Patani, kris sepukal lurus, dan ada satu kris yang dituliskan di sini sebanyak 47 luk. 47 luk memang sangat seni lah. Sebab luk orang Melayu ni dia beralun dia bukan seketul macam tu kan. Dan 47 sangat luar biasa pembinaan dan pembikinan dia. Maksudnya bagaimana kita lihat, kita panggil local genius ataupun kecerdikan tempatan mengenai persenjataan orang Melayu kita ni. Okey, kemudian kita ada selengan. Selengan di sini kita ada sundang. Sundang merupakan maknanya pedang memang ada identiti orang Melayu. Itu yang menarik sebab kita banyak pedang juga tapi berkongsi teknologi dengan bangsa lain. Contoh macam kita dapat lihat pedang buaya berenang, bentuk yang sama kita boleh lihat seperti pedang Arab kan. Tapi sundang identiti orang Melayu. Dan selain itu selengan juga kita ada ladeng, dipanggil ladeng, dan buku ini pun disebut mengenai ladeng, dan begitu juga dengan sabit dan parang-parang yang lain. Kemudian ada setangan. Setangan di sini kita lihat kita ada pedang cilangkas dan juga pedang-pedang yang lain. Ada pedang jinawi, maknanya itu keluarga-keluarga dia. Kemudian dia ada seberdiri. Seberdiri iaitu merujuk kepada lembing, maknanya, dan jenis-jenis lembing yang berkaitan dengan dia. Kita ada senafas. Senafas ni iaitu berkaitan dengan panah, berkaitan dengan sumpit. Senjata Melayu juga senafas, berkaitan dengan senjata api orang Melayu dipanggil istinggar, itu senapas juga, begitu juga dengan berkaitan dengan meriam-meriam Melayu, sebab kerana nak mencucur juga adalah dipanggil senapas kan, kita menggunakan tahan nafas untuk mengendalikan senjata ini. Dan yang ketujuh iaitu serasa. Serasa ini berkaitan dengan senjata-senjata Melayu yang tidak dapat dilogikkan. Contohnya kita ada dulu bagaimana parang terbang contohnya kan. Dan benda ni bukan jauh daripada kita. Peristiwa 13 Mei terkenal dengan peristiwa parang terbang. Begitu juga dengan ilmu kebal. Saya tak bahas dari sudut pandangan agama. Kita ceritanya catatan mengenai ilmu-ilmu yang berada di tanah Melayu ini. Begitu juga dengan benda-benda yang berkaitan dengan yang mereka tidak boleh hurai dari sudut logiknya itu. Jadi 7 senjata Melayu yang amat dikagumi oleh penjajah kita ketika itu, dan kita lihat ada benda yang dicatatkan dalam buku dan catatan mereka. Selamat mengenal jati diri bangsa kita Melayu, Universiti Kehidupan, pengajiannya sepanjang zaman.
Now that you have watched both versions of that video, here is my summary and concluding notes. The keynote from Ustaz Amin, according to him, there are 7 categories of weapon classes in the Malay weapon armory. Allow me to elaborate further for clarity for each one of them. The first mentioned is the segenggam type weapon. Weapon types that are held in the fist with the blade easily concealed depending on the positioning of the fist. Suitable in attacks relying on the fist as a medium of attack. Bladed weapons like the kerambit, baladau and lawi ayam falls into this weapon class type. We can conclude that this is ideally a weapon class suitable for extreme close quarters combat. The second mentioned is the sepegang type. Weapon types that are held in the hand with the blade visible, typically for thrusting. Thrusting type weapons like the kris, which typically are deployed in relatively close combat. The third mention is the selengan. This refers to weapon types that are neither too long to be classified as a sword, nor too short to become a kris. Usually with blade length measuring not more than an adult forearm. These weapon class too has the advantage of being able to inflict serious injury through thrusting and slashing as well. Now, these are usually effective in battlefield combat situations where space is limited, like on decks of ships, or the battlefield is simply too clustered with combatants on both sides. The fourth mention is the setangan, referring to weapon types with blades that are as long as a man's outstretched hand, from the shoulder all the way to the tips of the four fingers. Typically, these are swords and sabers, more effective as slashing weapons to inflict injury at a distance whilst maintaining distance. The fifth mention is the seberdiri weapon class types. This refers to spears and lances fitted on a long pole. Again, these weapon types are designed to keep a wielder at a safe distance from the target. Again, there are some thoughts on this weapon class type. Some insist that the weapon is thrown towards the enemy, like a javelin. But the facts simply does not support this theory. If this weapon type was meant to be thrown, it means it is supposed to be disposable. Why then is it crafted equally as well as a kris blade? This would suggest that this weapon type is meant to be deployed like that of a combat staff with a bladed tip to literally make a point. The sixth weapon type mentioned is the senafas weapon types. This refers to ranged weapons like archery bows and arrows, blowpipes, flintlock pistols, muskets, cannons, and rentakas. Now, I am trained in both traditional archery and modern firearms. We have been taught to hold our breath when releasing the arrow or before pulling the trigger to ensure greater accuracy. Hence, it aligns with the senafas term, in one breath. The seventh weapon type refers to mystical and magical effects brought out through some spiritual practices. Now, in Nusantara and I believe elsewhere around the world too, there are countless tales and myths of magic being used in the battlefield and or one-to-one combat. Though to date no one has been able to prove it out in the open, but I believe for posterity it was worth as an honorable mention. Now, I am going to take a step back, going back to the book mentioned by Ustaz Amin. That book exists, so that fact is verified. You can check out the show notes to have a read. I have it up on my website. However, the manner in which he explained in his video would give the impression that the explanations of the 7 weapon types or weapon classes are explained in detail in this book. Here is where I would like to offer clarity on this aspect to clear any doubts or confusions at any time in the future. This book did not record or explain these 7 se-weapon classes. There is no mention of segenggam, setangan, selengan and whatnot. It simply records a curation of relics in their collection. So where did and how did these terminologies came about? In all my years of research and collecting colonial writings that touch on this subject, I have not come across any comprehensive details related to this written anywhere in colonial writings. Unless there are written colonial writings that I am not aware of, then if there are such, do share that in the comments below. What I personally experienced is that these are native classifications that has been shared orally, most likely stemming from logical observation. Now, there is nothing wrong with this, as the qualifying classification is sound and rational. Can this be accepted? Majority of collectors, myself included, feel that there is nothing wrong in sorting out weapon categories in such a manner. Besides, saying it out loud, Senjata Tujuh does have a nice ring to it in the native Malay language and has an element of mystery surrounding it to the uninitiated, just like the besi tujuh pa. So I hope today's video has been interesting for you. Do drop me a comment on your thoughts and suggestions. If you want to learn more on how to restore a rusty kris blade, check out this next video series. I'll see you there.